had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn, and I hire wrong. So then I'm doing IT, and when I go to plug the servers in, they become sentient, and they won't let us access our network unless we forward their chain emails and memes to more and more and more people, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant finds and invites best fit candidates to apply, so you can discover talent you may have missed. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
What's up, everyone? It's a Mega Mini coming at you in the main feed 2026 style.
2026. Out the gate, raring to go. Everybody out there feeling bright-eyed and ready to go. You feeling motivated? You feel excited? You feel like setting new intentions and changing all your habits and all that stuff in the dead of winter while we mostly just want to curl up in front of a fire and pretend we're all Labradors. Die? I was going to say be sleeping dogs by the fire. Oh. Okay, it's going to be one of these Mega Minis.
Well, just to give everyone a heads up, a Mega Mini is a behind-the-scenes podcast that we do over on Supercast. Many thanks to our Supercast subscribers. Most especially, you're the ones who keep this little thing cooking. But this week, we're putting it in the main feed because sometimes we do that just to spice it up. Make you remember that I actually don't have an Australian accent and that Holly doesn't talk like a Midwestern mom from 1996.
Not unless I have a full bottle of Southern Comfort in my belly. Or I'm recording a mega.
When's the last time you drank Southern Comfort?
When I passed out in a forest preserve at the age of 16 and my friends dumped me off in my front lawn of my house and my parents locked me in the basement for having gotten drunk, and it was an unfinished basement that was only cement. And all I needed was water and Gatorade and Advil. But instead, they sent me like a Tupperware bowl to barf in and like left me on the concrete.
There's a story there.
Once in a while,
was that the story?
Once in a while, they would open up the door and be like, "We don't feel sorry for you," and they just let me have the worst hangover of my life down there.
So you essentially got drunk and were put into a CIA black site.
I could. Now I know I can survive torture.
That's always seems.
I've never had Southern Comfort again.
Really? Mm-mm. Yeah, I guess everybody has that thing. If you got drunk on that first thing, you sort of avoid it.
What the hell is Southern Comfort? Whiskey? But is it sweet?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's sweet.
Oh, gross.
I guess it's bourbon with something else. I don't actually know. I haven't. I also have not had it since high school, when I was living comfortably in the South.
I hope everybody had a cozy season behind them and
behind them.
And
I feel like we're tuning in right in the dead of winter and you're saying it's over.
What?
I was just saying, you're like, it's all behind us. I guess you've been very vocal about not celebrating the new year in January. You're very anti, what would this be, Gregorian calendar, or you're very anti Julian calendar. You want to go back to the Gregorian?
Yeah, man, fuck this calendar. It makes no sense. It makes no sense to celebrate some kind of New Year's and act like there is some new rejuvenation, refreshed life force, awakenings, and a time to set new habits and address old behaviors and create new patterns and have this new motivation. It makes zero sense.
That's why I'm saying curl up in front of the fire and die.
Someone gave me a book over Christmas about Hygge, which is the Danish word. Wait, in Denmark they have this idea of Hygge, and I don't think I'm saying it right.
I kind of don't like Hygge just because of the word. I really can't get behind that word.
I might not be saying it right.
No, you're saying it right. I just don't
It's
love the sound of it.
It's the idea of coziness. Like if this is Hygge or that. It's like a feeling.
Hygge just sounds like the horn in a cartoon.
Kahooga! But no, it's more like the lumens of your lighting need to be below a certain number. So there's pools of golden light. There should be multiple light sources in the room that are more down near eye level or below, like not overhead lighting, no fluorescent lighting, a lot of candles, crackling fireplace, cozy socks, beanbag chairs. These are all things that are hygge, kahuga, twinkling lights, steam coming off of a mug, hot cocoa, melting marshmallows, hot tea, a hot toddy, if you will.
A black light?
A soft scarf.
A velvet poster? Because some of these things do sound like something that you would just have in the basement of a cool high school older brother.
Well,
speaking of high school and Southern Comfort.
No, but it made me happy because I was like, I've been doing hygge this whole time. That it's really important to me, the aesthetics of a space, and to have golden, pools of lighting, and to be intentional and to curate a feeling and a vibe and everything. So
I would say if there's anything that's going to make Holly homicidal faster than overhead lighting, I haven't found it yet.
Being in a room with overhead lighting is like being inside of the mind of a serial killer and looking through their eyes and being like, oh yeah, I can kind of see why I would become very twisted very fast.
We were invited to dinner at a friend's house recently where I would equate the aesthetic to surgery, surgical theater.
If you were to stage a surgery inside the furniture section of a Home Goods.
That's kind of what the vibe was. And it was distracting.
It was tough. I can never go. I can
never go back.
I will never go back there. I had an interesting talk with my sister-in-law. She was like, I'm establishing a new relationship with wintertime because I've always hated the cold and it makes me feel disempowered. And I was like, yes, preach to me, preacher. And she was like, and just the darkness really gets to me. And I don't like running from doorway to doorway and feeling like the wind is going to rip my skin open. And I was like, yes, preach. And all of those things. And like, Chicago,
I should just take a sidebar and say that Holly's sister-in-law is a preacher, and she was at the pulpit when this was happening.
In fact, church. I think I got ruined by years in Chicago where the winters are so extreme, and you would get in fights over, after I dug my car out with my fingers and got my car free from being snowed into a parallel parked street spot, then I would want to protect that spot and be like, oh man, I worked so hard for that spot. And then as soon as I come home, somebody else is parked there. But everyone feels that way because everyone's digging themselves out. So there's all these fights and people put lawn chairs in there.
Dibs.
And the wind is actually trying to rip your skin off your face and break every single knuckle on both hands open. And it always feels like an endless impenetrable gray where the sun never rises and there's no color at all except in advertising and billboards, and everything is just like barren branches against a colorless sky, and everything feels cold and desolate and freezing. And then she was like, I'm trying to establish a new relationship with it where I invest in these ideas of hygge and how to be like the ultimate hygge is if you have all those things like the cozy socks and the candles lit and the mulled wine on the fire and the crackling wood stove. And if you have all those things, the ultimate hygge, if you want to have like complete and ultra
total hygge,
is if there's a storm raging outside.
Right.
And so I was talking to her about how like, oh yeah, there's another way of looking at it that is like, maybe it's not barren branches against a colorless sky. It's, oh wow, without all the leaves on there, I can see its shape, what's there, like what it looks like.
It's a real glass half full version of winter right there.
Yeah, you don't get to see the branches of the old oak when it's covered in leaves.
A glass half hygge.
But I'm trying to have a different relationship. And it snowed a lot when I went to the Midwest. What did you all do out there to get through the holidays? The only reason I started by saying like it's behind us when we started recording is because I feel a certain relief that the holidays are behind us.
Oh, you do?
I hope people had a
these holidays,
one, and I'm
glad they're over. Definitely. We're back in Virginia at the moment. Some of you know had a tragedy in my family. My dad passed around Thanksgiving. Talk about that a lot in another Mega Mini. I mean, tune in for that hot content. But Yeah, we're taking it easy, taking it slow, trying to adapt, trying to move through layers of grief is more how it feels really like.
Interesting what people have been sharing with you. Other people who have experienced similar shock, grief, loss, you know?
Sure.
How all of them say time starts getting real weird and you experience time completely. You realize time is not a set thing at all.
Yeah.
And you really are experiencing that, aren't you?
I think so. I think it feels like, it happened now over, he passed on November 26th. And from that point until now, it feels like a year and yesterday.
Yeah.
It feels like yesterday, and then it also seems like a different, almost entirely different timeline.
And it seems like you disbelieve it more now than you did earlier.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I don't feel like he's gone.
Yeah.
So I feel like my brain knows that he's gone, but it hasn't fully settled into my bones, if that makes sense.
And you probably don't even want it to, right? You don't want that reality to settle into those bones.
No, I don't. I don't. I don't. And so it's been I've been trying to be a little bit patient with myself in it, and
that's good.
Not run from it, and also try to learn something from it, because you know what? That's the one thing we're all going to go through. And this is obviously the most acute one I've ever experienced. So,
and
there's something.
You loved your dad and you had a really cool relationship with him, and you two really cared about each other.
Yeah.
And the bigger the love, the bigger the grief.
That is true. And fun little mega detail is that at the end of the episode, you'll hear Nana and T-Bop. That's actually my folks. They're founding members of the podcast.
It's so cool that he was like, I want to help in any way.
Yeah.
What a cool.
So yeah, I'm ready to speed through these holidays, but then also, we'll look back on this holiday and, there might be that we actually had some really sweet times this holiday because my nieces were here and they're really lovely.
Cute as hell.
14, 12, and 9.
So sweet.
So they're just at funny ages. And I guess a highlight for me was that my littlest niece, Anna, shout out to Anna if you're listening, set up a spa night for everyone. And, you kind of talk. I feel like with kids, sometimes you entertain their entertaining ideas to the point that, you're just,
when they're not entertaining or really a good idea.
This was a legitimately pretty good spa experience. And the best was she's kind of an amazing improviser because she fully inhabited the character of a woman named Hattie, goes by Had for short, who had taken over a spa for a woman that was retiring.
Oh.
This has been her passion. She has 2 kids. She told us all about her kids. And so the small talk in the spa experience was as much of a hit as the spa experience itself. And I love when kids really can just lose themselves in make-believe, because she had this whole other mannerism. She was telling us a very detailed backstory worthy of a role play game. And I just couldn't believe it. And we just kept teeing her up to answer questions. And then she would kind of want us to ask her more questions.
She's like, more. Yeah. What was the name of the spa?
Beauty Comes First. She just came up with that off the top of her head. I was like, what's the spa? Beauty Comes First.
In case you're wondering, what's number 1 around here? It's your beauty.
So it was really nice to have time with the nieces, the nibblings, and you also had some time at home. Probably not as sad, but maybe not as Mine is chill.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
Do you want to get into all that?
When I go home, I go into the Twilight Zone. Even when I came back and I was telling you about all the different, like, really bizarre interactions I had.
We had to take 3 drives around my parents' neighborhood just so Holly
I was
could
like,
film.
don't pull in the driveway. I got more.
It was a 3 lap.
Well, I didn't talk. So Greg, right at Christmas, oh God, I don't even know if I can get in this, but Greg had sent me this article that Bart Ehrman, the New Testament scholar from the University of North Carolina.
The title was something about, would Jesus recognize
Christmas? And like the way we celebrate Christmas, what our beliefs around the story of his birth are, blah, blah, blah. What would be recognizable even to Jesus?
Can you imagine taking Jesus and putting him in a CVS at Christmas?
I wouldn't want to do that
you'd kill
to him.
It'd kill him.
I wouldn't want him to have to. It would kill him,
and that would change. That would change the redemption story.
Yeah. Okay, so I think about the Bart Ehrman thing of what would Jesus recognize of Christmas, if anything. My dad, when I was home, and this is how.
Wait, did you bring this thing up? This whole.
I was trying not to, and he was doing this whole. He was giving me this whole, but it was on my mind, and he was giving me this whole thing about how. Jesus and Christmas and all the wonderful things about it and stuff. And I was like thinking of a number of things. I was thinking about that pillar we saw in Bologna in that cathedral that had been brought from the Middle East that was supposed to represent the height of Jesus.
Oh yeah. We were in this really amazing church in Bologna, and in it was a column that I think had been brought by over in the 10th or 11th century or something. And there were 2 columns, one stacked on top of another, and it said the lower column was meant to represent the height of Jesus. And folks, I'm here to tell you that thing was 4 foot.
It came up to my navel.
Yeah, it was 4 foot.
It was my navel.
About 4 foot.
So when my dad was talking to me about Jesus, I just kept thinking like that would have been a tiny baby.
Oh yeah, and he wouldn't even be able to get in a CVS plexiglass thing at 4'2".
He could have just walked right under that turnstile at the front of CVS.
Yeah.
So people believe that he was eternal and existing before, in the Trinity or whatever, before his birth. That would be very
and didn't Bart
surprising
Ehrman also say he would also be very surprised? Jesus never spoke of his birth.
Not in Matthew, Mark, Luke. Yeah.
Jesus didn't speak of his birth in the Gospels.
Right.
So the fact that he would be like, say what now? 3 wise men and a star and a what and like that all would be very surprising. His origin would be surprising to him.
And wouldn't he be like, I'm the one who was born under that star, that super important star? Wouldn't he always be like, remember that star, that huge event? I mean, for them in their culture, that would be a big event, right?
I mean, don't you think he'd also be like, remember the heavenly hosts showing up?
That was for me, man. That was my choir. I also thought it was really interesting. So that Bart Ehrman stuff, though, was so fascinating to me because he talked about how the essence of the way Jesus affected our culture and Western civilization on a massive scale was his revolutionary idea of kindness to a stranger. That was not welcome or at all cool in the, Roman and
antiquity.
And the
idea of giving, caring and giving, to the poor as a rule of thumb was also not considered.
Yes.
I mean, we're talking about an era of there are kings, there are slaves, there are merchants, there are tribes. There's not a lot of one. You basically have your station in life.
Yeah.
And that is how you're going to move through the world. And that Jesus's idea of giving to the poor, caring for the stranger, was very revolutionary in that time and has stuck around you could argue that, and I think Nick Kristof did push back and say, yeah, but hasn't that been co-opted, and capitalism and, Trump and all these other things that have essentially in Christianity have bore out to be the opposite. But I think what he was saying is, yes, but that idea that we should care when there's a hurricane that hits Haiti,
right,
and that we should send $50 to Doctors Without Borders, that is essentially born of the idea that Jesus had,
that was
or was speaking about.
And I'm sure it was because before that, wasn't it way like the idea of tribalism is that me and mine, us, ours,
right.
we, and so to have any amount of kindness or charity toward a stranger would just be like, what are you even talking about?
Sure.
And for us, the fact that it's so commonplace to us, that is the effect Jesus has had on the planet, is that we're like, yes, we have FEMA and we have charities, we have public works, we do things, we have food drives, all of those things that come totally naturally to us of, golden rule and stuff is all Jesus, which is actually an amazing impact, and it's a different way of thinking about him than I've ever thought about him. But another thing on that Barterman interview that I found so interesting is that he talked about how Jesus never really cared about like institutional injustice or fighting like on a larger scale, because his message was that like the end was coming in his generation, like it was over, this wasn't going further. So everything because of that became about the person who's directly in front of you. Like we think ethical behavior is because we want to make society a better place, and Jesus didn't have the concept of long haul. So the only thing that matters is individual suffering and attending to the individual suffering. I remember
Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
Hunter, the gym that when we lived in LA, we loved going to our gym every day, and Hunter was the guy who ran this gym, and he talked a lot about one of the things you can do for your health is reach out to strangers. Even if you smile at someone who's passing you, it changes your body chemistry and theirs. There is a palpable thread between all of these things that even when you live in a big urban area and you're surrounded by people all the time, talking to someone you don't know does something really good for your body and your nervous system and theirs. And those human connections really matter for your health. And I was like, that's a really cool way of looking at things.
Not to make these always about fascism, but that was another thing that I read when I think that guy Tim Snyder maybe wrote this, the guy who wrote that book about fascism, said one of the main things that you can do in rising autocracy and fascism is make eye contact with people and make small talk, because dehumanizing one another is one of the main tools of fascism. And if you just make small talk, make eye contact, know your neighbors, know the guy that you buy milk from at the corner store, et cetera, that is a powerful tool when it comes to rising autocratic ideals.
Good to know.
Even though you kind of hate talking to strangers.
But I'm trying to change. I also saw trees as barren, naked against the sky, and now I'm seeing them of like, oh, that's your true shape under there. Nice to see you in this form too. All I know is that things change. Sometimes we've got leaves, and sometimes we're naked against the cold sky.
Baby.
I like that. That's very, very cool. That feels subversive, making eye contact with people. I've tried more to be talking to strangers ever since when we were in Italy and I decided I had to make friends, and I started by walking up to someone I wanted to be friends with and saying, I want to be your friend, because I didn't have the time to
and he loved it.
And he loved it.
And then you met a lot of other friends through that.
And then we started making friends, and I was like, okay, so I've been trying to like turn my tide a little bit on that. It's still really hard for me in an airplane. I just don't make eye contact.
Airplane's a fascist autocracy. It's okay. Everyone's dehumanized on an airplane. We've already that's late stage.
Ain't that the truth?
Fascist.
I was on a small airplane on December 25th, and I'd been on a previous plane that day, and then I was on this one, and I realized it's a smaller plane. There's 2 seats on either side of the aisle, and there were like 24 rows, and they put people in the first 4 rows and the last 4 rows, and then what would that be, 16 rows in between were empty. And then the person in front of me started coughing, a sick cough, not a dry cough. As a germaphobe, I like, listen, is that a smoker's cough? Is that a dry cough? Is that a recovering cough?
You're a real Sherlock Holmes of
Is
coughs.
this a current sick cough? And it was a woman who was coughing and I can say this because I was counting, because I get super neurodivergent about it, but like sometimes it was 6 seconds between coughs, sometimes it was 20. The average was about 20, but she was going at least a minimum of 2 coughs per minute.
Okay.
The whole time. Okay. And so I'm like, oh, and she's directly in front of me. So I'm sitting in a cloud of her germs and viral load and everything. And I'm like, oh man. And so I have a mask on that I've plastered to my face, one of those like real heavy duty ones that hurt your nose bone really bad.
Hazmat style.
And we were just sitting at the gate. We never left the gate, and people were getting up and going to the bathroom and stuff. So I got up and I was going to go ask the flight attendant about like, is there any way I can move up in these 16 empty rows?
Say, is there any way we can get this woman off the plane?
Jesus wanted us to love our strangers. Kill this woman. Get her off the plane. She has a virus she's trying to give me and spread. But as I'm walking to her, the flight attendant just started like waving in my face, and was like, no, go sit down. And I was like, and she goes, the flight's 18 minutes. It's 18 minutes. It's up and down. Go sit down.
And you're like, but she's been coughing every 20.
No, every 20 seconds.
Oh.
In 20 minutes, she would have, by my average, as I was counting it, in 20 minutes, she would have coughed 40 times. So anyway, she wouldn't even let me talk. And she was like, 18 minutes, go sit down. And I was like, man. So I went back and I got in my seat, and the woman's like, and of course she's not wearing a mask. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I like put the little air vent on, and I just kind of like put my head down on my lap, and I was trying to like do heavy breathing to calm myself down, but I couldn't heavily breathe because I was afraid that was going to like pull stuff into my mask. So I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm just like trying to like talk myself down, and she comes back and she kind of like knocked me as she walked by, and she goes, it's 18 minutes. And because I'm just a little dickhead, and because she said it to me 3 times, I was like, you do it 3 times. Like now I'm going to fuck around back. And I was like, how many minutes is it? We sat at the gate for 50 minutes. And then we went and sat on the tarmac for, I don't know, maybe another half an hour. The second we were wheels up, my dumbass had my timer on my phone, and I said, start. And I hit that button on start.
Oh, no.
And I timed that. And I sat there and I looked at it the whole time because I was trying so hard not to have a panic attack. And so it gave me something to focus on. And I stared at that timer, and I was like, 9 minutes. That means we're landing in exactly 9 minutes.
9 minutes. This woman's coughed 55 times.
And that flight was 21 and a half minutes.
And you know what? You didn't get sick.
Not 18. I know, because I was putting neem up my nose. I was doing all these antivirals.
You were shooting some bleach in your veins and ivermectin up your butt. Do you have a poem for us?
This is called Night Flight by George Bilgere.
Night Flight? This
Night
sounds
Flight.
like, is this inspired by your flight? Your Christmas flight?
Yeah, my little dickhead flight was a night flight on December 25th.
21 minutes.
And 21 and a half minutes. And I was in such a bad mood, man. It was Christmas. Okay. Night Flight by George Bilgere. I am doing laps at night alone in the indoor pool. Outside it is snowing, but I am warm and weightless, suspended and out of time like a fly in amber. She is thousands of miles from here, and miles above me, ghosting the stratosphere, heading from New York to London. Though it is late, even at that height, I know her light is on. Her window a square of gold as she reads mysteries above the Atlantic. I watch the line of black tile on the pool's floor, leading me down the lane. If she looks down by moonlight, under a clear sky, she will see black water. She will see me swimming distantly, moving far from shore, suspended with her in flight through the wide gulf as we swim toward land together.
Nail me